You know what? It's my fault for being excited. That's on me. Bit of a dour start, isn't it? But on paper, I didn't have a bad time with Ghostmaster Resurrection. There was only one instance where I encountered a bug and had to restart a mission because the police got stuck on the stairs. Otherwise, the 2 hours that I played were perfectly fine, if a bit too easy compared to the original. So why am I pissed right now? If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and drop a comment telling me your experience with the game. I'm pissed because I have very fond memories of Ghostmaster, and upon seeing that there was an updated version of the game being worked on, I requested a key. And nowhere on the page to request a key did it say that they used generative AI. It says that the regular, normal sort of NPC AI was improved, and that's fine. AI by itself must not and should not be automatically associated with the hallucinating regurgitation kind. That's reductive, it's unhelpful, and it makes everyone paranoid. It also says enhanced visuals, which is true. The game's appearance has received some hefty polishing. But I kept coming back to this screen. Something didn't sit entirely right with me about it. It kept wriggling at the back of my mind like maggots. Then I finally look at the Steam store page, as I really should have done when I first heard about the game, and it has this vague disclosure. And this one on the DLCs. Which, by the way, they're selling a season pass on this remaster for double the actual game's price. Then I check the reviews and see that at least until November last year, they didn't disclose the generative AI usage until someone had left a negative review pointing it out. And if you're using just your average run-of-the-mill expected video game AI, why would you need to disclose anything? Why would you use this vague wording unless you didn't want to say you used regurgitative AI, but you knew you had to disclose its usage? The fact that they avoided doing so until someone said something is concerning. I'm not saying definitively that they 100% used generative AI, but none of this looks good. If you're going to use it, then use it, and be open about it. Hiding it just tells me that you know people won't like what you're doing, but you still want the accolades of someone who didn't. There are apathetic gamers who won't give a shit that you did. Pander to them, but let the rest of the community make an informed decision about your product. Now, rather than harp on about how scuzzy this all made me feel, why don't we talk about why I was excited in the first place? Get something positive out of this. Yeeting Resurrection into the Nether, you can still play the original Ghostmaster, and you should. It's silly, it's janky, and absolutely looks its age, but it's fun, and with the Complete Edition mod installed, you have restored content to play with as well. For those unaware, Ghostmaster is a strategy game where you control a team of ghosts and your goal, usually, is to scare the inhabitants of a given location until they run screaming for the hills. For each haunting, you earn gold plasm, a currency that lets you add extra powers to your various haunters, and within each of these hauntings, there is usually at least one ghost you can recruit by breaking it free of its fetter. What is a fetter? Chains, anchors, something that binds the ghost to the world of the living. We can freely attach and detach our ghosts from a fetter, but for the recruitable ones, it's something that they're stuck to for one reason or another. You can't just attach any ghost to any fetter, however. They all have specific things that they're aligned with, like banshees preferring thoroughfares and being outside, ghosts associated with violence usually attaching to corresponding items like a body bag, an electric chair, criminal evidence, etc. Because of this, you can only place ghosts where they have an appropriate anchor point. If there's nothing related to water on a given map, then there's no point bringing a ghost whose fetter is water, so you need to bring a team with the right mix of abilities and fetters. Thankfully, the game does make this easier for you with the recommended button assigning ghosts who are best suited to the mission, and as you understand the game better, you can go back and find more efficient methods of clearing a level. Why would you do that? For the fun of it, but also there's a point system, so if you like chasing high scores, that is something you can do here. You can't, however, just deploy your entire team of ghosts and bull rush the mortals. Your activity levels rely on the meter up in the corner. Each ghost has an energy upkeep just for existing on the map, and each power they have has a stacking cost. But for every bit of terror, belief, or madness instilled, you increase your pool of energy, allowing you to bind more ghosts at a time and use stronger abilities, until you get to a point where your entire team can be on the map using all of their powers at once, which feels fantastic when it happens, as it usually coincides with a tipping point where so many people have been terrified that the music switches to this energetic track that perfectly encapsulates the spooky chaos. So, what are we even doing here? Well, your task as the titular Ghostmaster is to terrify the people of Gravenville, working your way up from the likes of a sorority house, to a mafia yacht, to a military base, and eventually to an asylum. There are 3 acts to the game, and multiple levels to each one, and while the game isn't heavy on story, it does still have one as your ultimate goal, ends up being to free a spirit called the Darkling. Look at my horrible skinless child, isn't it great? A lot of the fun comes from figuring out how to free the trapped ghosts on each level, as while some are as simple as performing the appropriate ability near them, others require a more circuitous solution. And that's also where a great deal of frustration can creep in if you aren't patient. For example, in Phantom of the Operation,
are you sure about that?
You need to frighten all the head doctors out of the hospital. Can't help people who are scared and driven mad by ghosts if the doctors are also scared and driven mad by ghosts. The issue is, if you want to free the ghosts here, you can't just scare everyone willy-nilly. The first one, Daydreamer, is a Sandman who can be woken up by using the Banshee Moonscream's Cacophony ability, which is her strongest ability, and thus you need to do some scaring first to build up the necessary energy. Once he's out of the way, you have Harriet, a trickster clearly inspired by someone's boner for Lola Bunny in the original Space Jam, which I'm not shaming anyone for. I just question why you would make the sexy bunny woman who flirts with the player a ghost who's fed her as children. Maybe could have rethought that when the blood returned from its southern vacation. Anyways, she's attached to a crying child. Why is the child crying? Because another child stole his stuffed rabbit. In order to get it back, you have to find that child, terrorize him until he drops the bunny, and an adult picks it up to bring back to the crying boy. In my run of the mission, the bully kept coming back almost immediately to pick the fucking toy up until I scared him off the map completely. As for the third and final ghost here, it's another Banshee, a woman driven mad by her cheating husband who left her at the altar, eventually leading to her being institutionalized until she escaped her room, climbed to the roof of the asylum because the voices told her to, and let herself be struck by lightning. I didn't say everything in the game aged well. Point is, she hates lecherous and cheating men, and there is a Dr. Seth Greenwood in the hospital who could be mistaken for a pogo stick by all the women he has jumping on him. The goal here is to scare away all the nurses of the hospital. This will leave him with only Dr. Kathy Winnery, the resident pathologist who keeps to herself in the morgue and is described as only barely in touch with reality. Once he's down there trying to shoot his shot, Bridget can then appear to him and scare him into celibacy and out of the hospital. But even if this can feel tedious at times when NPCs don't go in the direction you want them to, or you accidentally scare them off too early, that usually doesn't mean the mission has failed, you just didn't unlock that extra ghost. Regardless, you should go play the original Ghostmaster. It still deserves your time and attention, much more than the remake. Until next time. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below, whether it's a game you'd like to see me cover, what you thought about the one we just discussed, or to tell me about your pets. Special shout out to my patrons and YouTube members who are all very handsome people, and if you'd also like to be called a very handsome people, you can support the channel through Patreon or become a member here on YouTube. Either way gets your name in the credits. If you're into live streams, you can catch me every Wednesday on Twitch at 8 PM British time. I can also be found over on Blue Sky and TikTok when I remember to post on either of those. All that being said, don't forget to drink your water, take your medication, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you all next time.